Hi, this is Keith Van Wimmer with VanTek Consulting. Today we're going to talk a little bit about JDSU's FiberChekPro and some of the advanced functions of this. It's a pretty cool program when you start really digging into it. So FiberChekPro is the inspection and analysis software that by JDSU works with their microscopes. So in our test, we're using an FBP P5000i. It's a digital scope. Multiple, dual magnification, 200, 400. So, excuse me, the program is great. I'll use this in on a laptop when I'm out doing some inspection. Um, you know, running the laptop on doing the inspection and then using the OTDR as I'm moving through and doing testing. So here's the deal, though. When you come in here and you do your setup in FiberChekPro and you set up your job information, you can set it to be whichever fiber you want it to be. So let's call it fiber number 5 is the next one, and we're going to step 1 for incrementing. Okay, we have the auto increment function going, so okay. When we do a test, and hopefully we're going to get a pass on these, when you complete that test, now I have mine set to do a report automatically on pass. So every time that we do a test on a new connector, it's going to generate a single report. Okay, so let's look at this one. This was fiber 6. The last one was fiber 5. So the incrementing's working, everything's great. Here's the problem. When you start dealing with a large count fiber, let's say 72, 48, 288, what's going to happen is you're going to have 288 individual files that you have to consolidate and combine into one report for presentation to your customer. Because trust me, the customer's not going to want to go through 288 individual files trying to find the connector. So JDSU has actually set up some mechanisms within FiberChekPro that address this issue. The first thing is we want to go up to the setup, and if you come into archiving options, the report layout, there's a consolidated report layout here. So if you click on that and say OK, what happens now is notice we have a couple extra buttons here that weren't there in the standard report. So when we do a test and it passes, we can go on to the next fiber and do the next test. When that passes, we go on to the next fiber and do that test. Once we've done all of the testing on all of the panel, then we can do a generate report. Now I'm just going to use number 1 there. We'll overwrite that. That's my test file. So when it builds a report, it's going to come up and say fiber 1, fiber 2, fiber 3. So the first page on this report is going to be a summary. Okay, shows you all the connectors and what the overall status is. So now as we go down, we have fiber 1, and it gives you the overall status of that particular fiber, so the full report of that, full report, you get the idea. Here's the issue with this. Notice it's fiber 1, 2, and 3. Well, our auto incrementing and our setup in FiberChekPro here, if we go to our job info, its next fiber is 7. So the problem with doing the consolidated report is that it doesn't follow the incrementing that you set in the job info. It's always going to start at fiber 1 and continue on when you do it utilizing this method. Again, JDSU has set up a mechanism for us which makes our life a little simpler here. So what we can do is we come into setup, FiberChekPro settings, and down here we have job definitions. So you're going to still fill out your job info. Just notice that the auto increment box is grayed out, so it's not working. So let's go to job definitions. We're going to say new one. For our job, what we have, let's give you a little basis here. We have a Simplex patch panel. patch panel, 12 port, and we're going to use nice typing, 12 port, and we're going to use ports 13 through 24. Okay, so actually let's make this a 24 port. 24. Okay, so we've created our job definition. We can add rows and go down, or since this is a patch panel and the ports typically run horizontally, not vertically, what we're going to do is we're going to add 12 columns, right? So the first thing we're going to do is do port number up here in the header column, and then we're going to call this bulkhead, and then we're going to say port number, I like to do doubles, so 01. Okay, so now that we've got that, we can start building our configuration and copy and paste, Control C, we go over here, Control V. So you can see that while this is kind of cool, it's also a little time consuming. Well, notice that they've given us an import from Excel. So fortunately, we have the capability of importing a spreadsheet. So we can build the job within the spreadsheet. Okay, now notice that these are grayed out. These are the headers. This right here, this white section, is the section that is important. Okay, that's the one where we're going to do the actual names of the fiber. So let's name this. We're going to make it look exactly the same, bulkhead. You don't have to put these headers in there. It's really not port number. It's really not necessary. You know, you could. It's going to go to column 2 or to row 2. So if we go in here, let's just get. We're going to cheat. We're going to go Control C there because I am just not the world's greatest typist, and we're going to port 1. So now if we go over here, we got port 2, right? We'll increment this and just go right on over, and we're looking at, oh, you know what? I don't like that. That's wrong. We want it to be port 13. That's where we're starting. So now we're going to go back over to port 13, and we're up to 27. So we'll delete that, and delete that. So now we're port 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4. Check. Now we'll just copy this over, just drag that and get a port number. Now we save this spreadsheet, and obviously, you know, if you're doing a 144, you can see where it's a lot faster to use a spreadsheet than it is to type it all in, right? So we're going to go over here now. I'm going to cheat again, so I'm going to say import from Excel, and I'm going to copy this path so it makes it easier for me. And back to our Excel, paste that path right in there, hit return. We're going to call this, we're going to overwrite that one, so 12 port Simplex, save it, and yes, we're going to replace it. Go ahead to close out Excel. We're done with that. Now this was, again, this was the import Excel window, 12 port Simplex, open that, and it brought in all the information from our spreadsheet. So now we have port number, bulkhead, port 13, so on and so forth. If you wanted to go ahead and modify this, you could go back to your spreadsheet, add another row, and so on and so forth, and you can build this. Okay, so now we're going to say OK here. So we have a Simplex patch panel 24 port 13 through 24. Check. All right. So now that we've done that, start job. This window pops up. We're going to go find our job that we did, which was the Simplex patch panel 24 port, ports 13 through 24, and say OK. This is my favorite right here. I love this window. This is just the most awesome thing. So this gives us now, it looks just like the job we created, right? Port number, bulkhead. So our header row, our identifier on what we're doing here. So now let's go ahead and run our test. So we've got good focus. We ran the test. It passes. Notice that we get the pass up here in this port. Next fiber, test. This is our built-in checklist right now. So we could actually skip, throughout this, throughout the panel. If you had some live circuits that had to get moved and you're waiting for that, you can actually jump through this panel. I'm just clicking on these and do your testing before you actually start moving stuff, right? So let's say for instance that we had to move port 14 or 15 and 16. We could now move those over to, call our partner over on the other end, move these jumpers from 15, 16 over to 13, 14, come back and, test. You get that idea. Okay, so it's pretty cool. Let's do a fail here because this is another really cool function. I just get so excited about this stuff. So we're going to do port 15. We'll test this. Obviously we get a fail there because I got my finger all over that. We'll do another test down here on port 22 just to get some fails. So now that we've got a couple of fails, we'll give that a nice clean. We'll come back over here. We'll go on to port 16. Oops, didn't get such a good cleaning job there. Still not clean enough. I want perfection. Okay, there we go. So now let's go ahead. We're on port 16. Let's test that. Still have a little stuff way out there on the edge, but that's okay. So let's say that now we've cleaned port 15. We can retest it. Discard that capture. It's going to go out, do the retest. Oop, got to hit the test button. Go do the retest on there. We get a pass. I'm going to go ahead and clean this one more time. We'll go back over to port 22, retest that, see how that looks. Oh, that's pretty. Okay, got to hit the test button. So again, this gives you this little window up here, tells you exactly where you're at. It is your checklist. It's really cool. So now, once we've completed, let's say we've done all of these, we do our group report. Okay, so it's our Simplex patch panel report. This report will pop open as soon as it's generated. And notice what we have now is we have our Simplex patch panel 13 through 24, so it named it according to how we name that job. Okay, it gives us the same information, our summary page, but notice now it's incrementing, right? It's going and it's doing what we want it to do. It's doing port 13, 14, 15, 16, so it's aligning with what we're testing. Now if we go back again up to the table of contents here, we can select port 21. We can go look at that and see what's going on. So this is really a cool application in the way that they've built this in. This is I've not seen this in other manufacturers' software. This is a terrific thing to use. Once you've done the report, notice that our job is ended, right? So we've completed that. So now we can go in and let's say that we had another job to do. We could have built that up. Let's say we're in a cell site and we have multiple patch panels. So you can build these jobs with Excel. You get all of your naming done automatically. You get your checklist right there at the front end of the testing. It's really an awesome setup. So you can run this. I haven't tried it on an Android mobile, but you can run this on a laptop. You can run it on a Microsoft Surface, which is basically a laptop tablet. It's running Windows 8.1. This is really a cool application and methodology for your testing. So again, as always, I ran long, but there's so much good information here that hopefully you stuck with me to the end. Anyway, hope all this has been very helpful. again, overview of setting up a job and kind of the advanced function. If you have any questions, feel free to leave us a comment, drop us a line at info@vantekconsulting.net. Call us if you have a question. Always glad to hear from you folks and help out on the phone. Subscribe. Subscribers are good. We need subscribers. Give us a like. You know, all the usual stuff with the with social media and YouTubing. So until next time, I hope this was helpful. You guys have a great day. Be safe, and until next time, we'll talk to you later.